Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Joshua and I'm going to be your presenter today. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. It's promptly 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to go ahead and get started on our topic here momentarily. We're here to talk about some advanced or some manage years function in Church Windows accounting. Before we get started on the topic, 20 minutes. We're going to be here till 3:20 Eastern Time, at least discussing what I'm here to discuss. If there are questions you have about the webinar topic, after we're done here, I'll certainly be happy to stick around and get those questions answered. If you do have questions for me, please type those into the questions portion of the webinar control panel. I'll do my best to keep an eye on those. If I don't get to them during the event, I'll certainly be happy to get to those after we've concluded our topic here. If you've got you'll see the little red arrow at the top sidebar of your control panel. Be sure to click that to minimize your webinar control panel there. Or if you've got a second monitor or dual monitor set up, just drag that off to your second desktop just to get it out of the way. Finally, we're working with our Accounting 202 workbook today, pages 41 to 48. Basically, it's the last 7 pages of the, or 8 pages of that workbook. I'm using that as the guide for today's webinar event. We do try to use as many of the workbook topics as we can as guides for the webinar. So if you're interested in that, please visit the workbooks page of our website and you can purchase the workbooks there. They're really great. They really are wonderful when working in conjunction with our webinars here in terms of helping you get a better idea of how these topics work. We record the webinars here, so a recording of today's webinar will be available on our support center on our website here soon, sometime between now and the middle portion of next week, if not later. So you can always come back and revisit this later on. So we're not going to be going through the whole setting up of a new accounting year. We have future webinars coming up in September on the end of year procedure or in October. We already have webinars on the support center page of our website that shows the end of year procedure, but we will be hosting more of those events. We're talking about some of the other manage years function in accounting that are often overlooked or are unknown by folks, and they're very, very powerful features in the accounting module. And I've been using them just as recently as the past couple of days with folks on support calls, and folks are very surprised to know that these function and features are here, because they do an awful lot, and we're going to hopefully show you what they do here shortly. So the first one on page 41, and we're talking about here, folks, under special functions at the top and manage years. Let me get out my highlighter friend here, right up here, special functions and then manage years. Let me draw an arrow. See how my arrows are doing today. Not too bad. So there's our manage years menu, that when we click on that, it brings down a menu. Let me get back my regular drawing tool. And here are our various manage years options. Change to another existing accounting year, set up new accounting year, view accounting year information, update balances. There's a whole list of things here, and we're going to be talking about basically 4 of them. Okay, so the first one we're talking about here is close accounting year, prevents further changes to an accounting year. This is again the topic at the bottom of page 41 of our workbook. Definitely, we can switch back and forth between accounting years. However, what this is the actual hard close to the accounting year. Basically, it's saying we're done with that year. We don't want to be able to go in and make any changes to any data whatsoever. We may want to run reports for it, which we certainly can do even after the year is closed, but we don't want to be able to make any further changes to the data, and this close accounting year function does that. So, again, it is a true hard close. When we click on close accounting year, it asks us, select the accounting year to close. And so here, basically why I like to show this list here is if a year is closed, it won't appear in this list. I think the most important thing to understand about this is not a requirement of the software. This is simply an option that's available to you as a Church Windows user and customer, but there's no requirement in the software to actually hard close or physically close a year. So we're not going to close 17, we're going to go back earlier than that. So if I go back to, say, 2013, if I highlight that and I simply click OK, it pops up with a dialog box that says you will not be able to add or change accounts, budgets, or transactions to this year after it's closed. Are you sure you wish to close accounting year January through December 13? And if assuming I'm good with that, I'm going to click yes. And folks, there's no undo for this. Okay, so if you're unsure, you may want to make a backup of your data before you do that. Okay, but once I do that, it clicks yes, and it's done. So now I want to go up to Special Functions, Manage Years, and choose, say, View Accounting Year Information. We see right here for 2013, it shows 1/1 through December. Closed has a check mark in the box. It's closed by. It would show a username, and that's confirming that that year is closed. Okay? I can, again, go back and visit that year, certainly. So if I go back to Manage Years, change to another existing accounting year, I choose 2013 and click OK. This is what it shows us. Okay, it says closed, January through December. I can still go up and look at reports and transactions and run reports and what have you, but I simply can no longer change any data. Okay? Again, it's not a requirement of the software, but lots of our churches and users do choose to utilize this feature. What I strongly encourage you to keep in mind is use it, but don't do it too soon. I mean, every year we have a handful of folks who, assuming that they have to have the prior year closed in order to open the new year, mistakenly, that's not true, they go in and they close, say, the previous year. They're 2 weeks into the new year, and then they realize they've got to go back to the prior year and make changes. And there's no way they can do it, short of going back and restoring a backup. Okay? So, just keep in mind, this is something you can do, and we encourage you to do if it helps you and your church, if you're not disciplined enough to prevent changes to the data in those periods. But it's not a requirement of the software. Okay? Okay, so the second part of our topic, I better get moving here. We're about 7 minutes or 8 minutes into the 20 minutes. Convert to a non-calendar year. So Church Windows, our data runs on a January through December, calendar profile. So if again we go up to Special Functions, Manage Years, we do see an option called. Hang on, what's wrong with this screen? Let me try this again, folks. Sorry. There we go. That's more like it. That was weird. Convert to non-calendar accounting year. So if the church says, hey, we're on a calendar year, we want to change to a fiscal year, you can just click on that. Again, it prompts us a backup should be made. We click OK on that, assuming we've done that. It's telling us we have exclusive access to it. So then it says, what do we want our new start date to be? Notice it is only allowing us to choose a date in 2017. The reason being here is the system is never going to allow us to run a calendar year or an accounting year that's longer than 12 months. So it'll run a short year in between our calendar and our fiscal year. So if I go, oh, well, okay, our new fiscal year starts on, April 2017, and it says the following year will be created, January through December through March, or January through March of 2017, and then April of 17 through March of 18. Okay? There isn't issues to be considered before changing. But then I would simply click OK. Okay? And it says, I'll say, are you sure you want to convert to a non-calendar accounting year? We would click yes. And then notice it now shows our April 17 through March of 2018 profile or period. Okay? Conversely, if we go back to Special Functions and Manage Years, it does give us an option to choose Convert to Calendar Year. Okay? So it does allow us to go back from a fiscal profile back to a calendar year. Let's see what that shows us here. Convert to calendar year. A backup should be made again. While this screen is open, you have exclusive access. And now notice it's only allowing us to go forward in terms of doing that. Okay? So if I chose January through December of 18, or January of 18, and simply it'll say April of 17 to December of 17, and then January of 18 to December of 18. So again, the previous periods are always going to be shorter. They're never going to be longer than 12 months. If I click OK, are you sure you want to convert to a calendar year? Click yes. And now it goes back to our new year starting on January through December of 18. Okay? What we cannot use this feature to do is to change from one fiscal profile to another fiscal profile. We do get that request periodically is, hey, our fiscal year starts in March and ends in February, and we now want to change that to starting in June and ending in May. Can we do that? Well, not using this feature. If you, however, call us through support and you let one of our technicians know, myself included, we can get your data over here, have our developers write a script or something that will allow us to change, again, from one fiscal year to the next, to another, again, running an amended or shortened accounting year in between those two fiscal years. But it's not a function that's built into the software to run it fiscal to fiscal. Okay? It's really important that, you know, we just are trying to maintain an accurate record of the data for you. We're really big on a really robust and ironclad audit trail, and so you're not able to do everything because we're trying to help you protect the data, essentially. Okay? All right. So now our next topic on page 46 is deleting unused accounts. So if I go back to, let's go back to another year. I've got a couple different years in here now, so I'm not sure quite how that's going to work out. Yeah, so it does show our April through December 2016. That's our current year. So, folks, there is an option in here that allows you to, with one fell swoop, delete a bunch of accounts simultaneously. I've used this as recently as this week with folks, where if you, again, go back up to Special Functions, Manage Years, you have an option near the bottom labeled Delete Unused Accounts. So when we click on that, it opens up a list of accounts that it sees are eligible for deletion in our year dated April 17 through December of 17, right here. Okay? Deleting these accounts here, if I choose to delete accounts, doesn't affect any accounting period prior to April, or it doesn't affect any other accounting period after December. It's a very common misunderstanding is, well, you know, if I'm deleting accounts this year, is that going to delete those accounts in other periods? Absolutely not. That's the end of year procedure, separates this year's chart of accounts from any other year's chart of accounts and allows us to have a completely different chart of accounts from one year to the next. Okay? You know, we strongly recommend that you read the, you know, right up here this dialog box or these instructions. They're not instructions per se. It's just basically telling you, you know, here's what this does, how it works, you know, what it's affecting essentially in the software. However, you know, the important thing to keep in mind about these are if these accounts have a balance or any 2007 or April through December 2017 activity, they are not in this list. There's nothing that the audit trail needs to protect or hang on to around these accounts. Okay? Many times we're going to see things like income and expenses or liabilities, but we are going to see a lot of times vendors, you know, payees that we've, you know, had paid in the past, but we haven't paid, you know, in some time. And notice right here in the column to the right of account number or type, it says last used, and it even tells us the last time that particular account had something posted to it. Okay? And, you know, frequently what I will also let folks know is, you know, maybe it's easier for us to go through and simply do the check all option and then go through and uncheck those accounts that we're thinking we want to keep You know, it might be easier. There might be more accounts you want to get rid of than you want to keep, and it might be easier to check them all first and then go through and uncheck those you want to hold on to. Okay? And one of the things I like to remind folks is if you delete an account by mistake, okay, you can just go right back into the chart of accounts and re-add the account back into the chart of accounts. Okay? Again, there's nothing in the current year that the system is trying to hold on to about that, so you're not doing anything to, generate any audit issues or anything. Okay? And then simply once we went down to the bottom here, we would simply click delete selected accounts, and it'll literally go through and just wipe them all out in one fell swoop. Okay? It's a really great feature. It's frankly, I've been doing this, folks, for almost 15 years, and I think, to me personally, this is one of the most underused features in the software, where, because of the misunderstanding about accounts and when they can be deleted and when they can't, is a chart of accounts will continue to get larger and larger for a church, and all of a sudden, you're working with a 40-page chart of accounts and you're only using 15 pages of those. And so it's because the annual maintenance hasn't been done to delete unwanted or unneeded or unnecessary accounts. So, again, this is something that can be done every year if you wish. Okay? But it will only affect the year that you're in, not any other accounting year. Okay? But this really can help you keep a handle on your chart of accounts and make sure it stays manageable, looks good, it's clean, it's concise, it's not out of control and unwieldy. Okay? It's really, really an easy way to make sure that the chart of accounts is manageable. Okay? And folks aren't seeing a whole bunch of extraneous or unnecessary accounts. Okay, with about 3 minutes left, our final option here is under Special Functions and Manage Years, delete accounting years. This was written into the software 2 or 3 versions ago, I think in version 17, where we do allow now the option to delete accounting years that are 8 years and older. Okay? Again, as all of these windows have been popping up and pretty much reminding us, is if you're unsure, it's advisable to make a backup of your data before deleting accounting years or deleting accounts. And one of the things I like to remind folks is if you click on the little question mark right here, it brings up a menu that talks about deleting accounting years. Deleting future accounting years that have no transactions. Future accounting years cannot be deleted if a year following that year has transactions. So basically, we can't create a gap between accounting years if there are entries. So basically it makes logical sense when you kind of read through it. But the fourth one down there where it says accounting years 8 or more years old may be deleted, that's what we're going to do here. We're not. We did set up 18. So here it shows us exactly which accounting years the system sees are eligible for deletion. So we did set up 18. Oh, that was a mistake. Okay. Again, it wouldn't be here if it had transactions that we had to hold on to. So if we click 18, and then I think we might even be able to add another one. So if I go in and I add, nope, I can't. I can only do them one at a time. So we choose 18, click delete years. It'll say make a backup of data before deleting, click OK, and click yes. So say delete 18, click yes. Deleting the accounting year, it's gone. Okay? I can again, just by way of demonstration, 9, 8, and 7, 2010 would have been 8 years ago, being in 2017, so 2009 and earlier makes logical sense. So then, I would say maybe choose 2007, click delete accounting year, make a backup, click delete yes, years, yes, it's gone. Again, folks, keep in mind, once these dates or years are gone, they are gone. They are irrecoverable short of, restoring a backup that includes them. So before you did this, you'd want to make sure you had any reports or hard copies of reports that you needed copies of before deleting those. Okay? So again, some really powerful tools that we have in accounting here to both keep the chart of accounts manageable as well as keeping your database, manageable. And so we hope it's been helpful. So it's right now at about 20 minutes after. We've been going on here for about 20 minutes. Let me see if there's any questions that have come in here. And I'm not seeing anything in there. All right, well, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this if you do have them. I'll give you a few minutes or a couple minutes to type those in there. Just again, keep in mind, folks, a video of this presentation will be available on our support center here in the next few days or so. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything coming in. I know that sometimes those do take a little bit of time to type up sometimes. I don't want to end the webinar prematurely here. So I want to give folks a little bit of time. Well, while we're waiting to see if those things are coming in here, I want to point out again, if we go back to our Church Windows website, you can find more on the complete end-of-year procedure and what have you at churchwindows.com by going here to our supporting menu and right here, New Year Prep and Help. And here, when we click on that, here are all of the current videos and documents that we have about running your end-of-year procedures or opening the new year or what have you. We're going to be scheduling more of those webinars here in the upcoming months between September and November. And so, but these functions pretty much, folks, have not changed. And so if you're interested in finding out information on those end of year processes or setting up new year processes, there's chock full of information here as well. Okay? Otherwise, we'll be having other live webinar events in future. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for everybody. Thank you so much. We hope it's been helpful. And we'll look forward to seeing you at another Church Windows webinar event. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.